Everybody, welcome to Game of Thrones Book Club. I'm James.
I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Joel.
And this is Game of Thrones Book Club, where we read about 100 pages of George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. I got like quesadilla condensation on my book just now, so that's cool.
Quesadilla condensation.
Shadow, be careful.
Ah, damn it, Joel. Okay, all right. That's Joel
Right off
Arnold
the
right
bat.
there.
What?
Master of
He
puns.
said cheddar, be careful.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You
Today,
monster.
we are discussing the chapters Daenerys 1
Yes.
to Catelyn 2.
Catelyn.
Those are pages about 100 to 200, was it? 105 to 204 maybe?
201, I think.
201. It is 201 in the mass market paperback version. Hopefully you are reading along with us, because that's the fun part. If not, and you're still in here, thanks for the support, guys. Sorry for taking off last week. And we were just... What did we do? We watched Mystery Science Theater 3000?
No, it was
No, we
B-movie.
We watched B-movie
God.
really late. And then
Yeah.
daylight savings
Full
time happened.
disclosure, we got, like, fucked up and watched B-movie.
And
It ended at, like, 3 a.m. We're like, well...
It was after a really long meeting, though, where we
Yeah.
discussed some
It
cool
was.
things that you might like
Yeah.
that might happen eventually.
That's true, and then we decided to unwind with B-movie.
But at least half a dozen times since then, I have lamented about how there will never be another cinematic experience for me as watching B-movie for the first time.
Oh, God. We were watching Whatever Happened to Baby Jane a couple days ago, and, like, middle of the movie, James just goes, man, I'll never get to watch B-movie for the first time again. It was like, James, we're watching a classic film,
It was amazing.
and you're thinking about B-movie.
I can't stop thinking about it. It was an incredible film.
It was an experience.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was an experience.
So,
But that's not what we're here to talk about.
we're not here to talk about
Yeah,
B-movie.
we can't talk about B-movie.
Or
this whole
else
time.
we'll talk for a long
I
time.
have a lot of
about
feelings
B-movie.
about it, though.
Like B-movie, the plot of this book just keeps going and going.
It does.
There
It's
you go.
just plot. It's just a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah.
And we're going to go ahead and get started with Daenerys 1.
Page
spell that right?
number.
You did.
Great.
And
try.
this is page 105. And, well, first try after how many weeks of book club? This is the
25.
chapter in which, this is a long time ago that I read this.
I know.
What's going on in this chapter, guys?
Jorah, we learned some stuff about Rhaegar, and then Jorah's sleazy.
Jorah.
Yeah.
Sleazy Jorah.
And this is while they're out on the sea, headed at first to Pentos, but then Jorah convinces
yeah.
Dany, I don't know, something's going on with this Arstan Whitebeard guy and this strong Belwys guy. Maybe we go and get some Unsullied first, have our own power.
Jorah's threatened by their awesomeness.
Joel, as a first-time book reader, long-time admirer, what's your thoughts of strong Belwas right now?
So I don't get it.
What?
You will get it.
I
love
so
him.
far he's not as interesting as Arstan, and not knowing why Illyrio sent them there. I don't know what to make of Strong Belwas besides he's fine for comedic relief, and I am looking forward to seeing him in battle, but that's about it.
I think that's fair. I think that's a very fair assessment of Strong Belwas at this point.
Yeah.
Because he's been played, I think, a little bit comedically and as a dumb person, so
So far, he's an Arstan delivery system.
yes.
Like that's
Yes, he
all.
is.
That's his only
That sounds
function
like-
right now.
Like technology that existed briefly in the 80s and like only existed for other things that are also obsolete.
Before something else replaced it.
Yeah, Arstan
Arstan delivery system.
I might eat a quesadilla.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say one more thing. Yeah, I think the only mention in this chapter we get of him is that he's just yelling for Arstan, hey, get over here, after Arstan is like
me.
talking for a long time. That's right.
Feed me, Arstan.
He's got a big belly.
He's got a big belly with scars on
I
him.
like
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, he's fun.
We get some dragon stuff.
They're getting bigger.
Dracarys, they're getting bigger. She's teaching them. She's controlling them more. She's teaching them to use their fire on command. They're always hungry. It says at the bottom of 107. Drogon's always hungry and growing fast. They may be large enough to ride in a year or two.
we learned that they're like goldfish,
Yep.
where if you give them room to grow, they will.
A
They'll get
dragon
big.
never stops growing so long as he has food and freedom.
And
Yep.
I think that Jorah is right to be suspicious because we're getting all this information from Arston, who shows deep knowledge of dragon breeding and maester lore that would be rare for someone like him to have as a squire. So I think when he brings the issues up to Dany, even though if we know who Arston is, it all makes sense. We trust him. It's okay. I think Jorah is in the right here.
But
Oh, we did forget to do our sigil before.
Oh,
we get
shit.
to
Oh, and we got some too.
We got some
we
too,
do have a
but-
sigil,
So
sorry.
we actually have a few. We're a couple back. I'm gonna pull up who's we're using this week.
I labeled them, so they should be
Yes,
accessible.
which is much appreciated. We're using Jennifer's this week. Jennifer Jones.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm gonna pull it up. Blam.
Woo, Lucy.
Oh, it's a shield.
It's a Shield
That's
Lucy
cool.
classic sigil choice from Jennifer Jones. I'm going to use the small one now. So thank you, Jennifer. If you want to send us a sigil, you can send it to us at practicalfolks@gmail.com. We've got a couple, finally.
let me see one of the upcoming ones.
Here's this one.
Yeah, this one's beautiful.
This
Ooh,
one's
that's
pretty
cool.
neat.
We'll
get to see
So
that next week.
yeah, next week. But we run out quickly. So please send us sigils. Jennifer Jones is here. Thank you, Jennifer. For this really cool sigil.
Yeah, it's really cool.
practicalfolks@gmail.com. You can send us art.
Mm-hmm.
But our Stan,
Yeah.
there's a segue, is too well spoken to be a squire, as you were saying, Joel.
Yeah, but we do get some cool stuff from him. Oh, James, did you have a counterpoint? You were seeming.
I was just saying that, yeah, Jorah's suspicion, I think, is mostly rooted in jealousy
I
and
was just
paranoia.
gonna say that. I think he's right to be suspicious.
Sure.
But it's mostly him just being jealous because now he's not the only connection Dany has to Westeros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely just threatened
Yeah.
and jealous in a very petty way, a very like high school way.
Especially considering that Arston literally saved her life already.
Sure.
And seems to be a capable person. You know, if Jorah, sure, he can be a little suspicious, but maybe he should also be like, oh, cool, another person to help my queen, another useful advisor. Instead, he's like, oh no, I want Dany to like him more than she like me.
I think his point's well taken, though, that something like this, the way that Arston killed the Manticore, could have been a setup to have him taken into her service. I'm not seeing those signs, but something like that would be a smart play for someone to make.
But
go
but to what end though? If the ultimate end is to kill her,
I
why
think
not just let her die there?
Maybe
Well, I
the
agree.
ultimate end wouldn't be to kill her, but it would be to influence her, which I feel like they're there to do anyway. Like if Illyrio's sending people, it's for a purpose.
Okay.
Do you think any of Jorah's paranoia and jealousy here is him being worried about being found out
Oh, by someone
by
else
someone
from Westeros.
else from Westeros who knows? I mean, I always forget. You know who this is.
Yes.
Okay.
I know who it is.
Okay. He knows, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And he's choosing not to tell Dany.
Oh, Jorah knows.
No. Arston
Knows of
Oh.
knows who Jorah is.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Jorah. And Jorah's
Of Jorah's betrayal.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
choosing not to tell Dany.
Does he know of his betrayal?
yeah, because he was on the
He
small
was on the
council.
small council.
And they were getting
Oh,
reports
at that
from
point.
Jorah.
Letters and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So he knows full well. So he's just holding that card close to him. He's
Because
waiting
he's
to play it.
amazing.
Yeah.
What do you think of Arston so far, Joel?
I think already, even though we don't know him that well, he's more even-tempered than Jorah.
Sure.
And has knowledge that will be more advantageous to Dany in terms of what Westeros is and in terms of her family. Like the stories of Rhaegar,
Yeah.
I thought was
Because he
really
was closer
interesting.
to her family
Yeah.
than Jorah ever was.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, even just the fact that Jorah doesn't know who he is like a problem.
I do like that Jorah unknowingly
Yep.
foreshadows who Arston really is here A great many men knew your brother, your grace. In Westeros, the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard sits on the small council. This is him saying, like, I'm the first of your Queensguard, so I should be, like, your advisor. But yeah, the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard sits on the small council. Yes, he does, Jorah.
I think like the Jorah stuff's really interesting from a character perspective. The meat of this chapter for me in terms of analysis is the Rhaegar stuff. But let's kind of wrap up Jorah before we dive into that.
Well, that involves the end of the chapter.
Right. So he convinces Dany to sail for Slaver's Bay, which he makes a convincing argument.
Yeah, and he
I
tells
think.
this story that's, whether it's true or not, I'm sure there's some truth to it.
Oh, it's true.
The
The 3,000 Unsullied?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it happened a long time ago if things have been exaggerated, but I would believe the Unsullied
There
could
was
do
less
that.
slow motion in real life.
Yeah, it's such an allegory, or like analogous to the 300.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even like pick up on that, but it totally is.
I mean, with the I
shield
forget
wall?
what you call that shield wall.
Oh, where they're like a
phalanx?
turtle.
Phalanx?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of a different thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where
Yeah.
they like just
It's called
create
a
this
turtle,
this
where they make
shield-
like a shield.
shield turtle. And like that seems a pretty clear reference.
Yeah.
The big difference.
Thermopylae.
Yeah, the big difference being they're eunuchs, and they're not like
Sure.
virile Spartans.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Qohor where that supposedly happened. So I think it's a
Flying the banner of the black goat,
yeah. Oh,
Qohor is the
Black Phillip.
easternmost of the free cities. It's like
I believe.
northeast in the western part of Essos. So it'd be like on the border of
The Dothraki Sea,
Is
I
it
guess?
steeps or steppes?
step.
Yeah, so it'd be on the border of like the steppes.
Although, like, this chapter, once they start talking about going to Slaver's Bay, I'm just like,
Uh-oh.
just like
It's the beginning of the
just
end.
savor the time that we're not in,
Oh my
in Slaver's Bay. Like, really enjoy this moment because we're about to be in Slaver's Bay for so fucking long.
I wondered. I've been wondering because I've been enjoying the Dany stuff pretty much the whole time. I was like,
Yeah.
when am I gonna hate it?
When are you gonna
'Cause
hate it?
It turned for you guys, I know.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Yeah.
You'll hate it as much as everyone else.
Let's
Even George R. R. Martin hates it.
Yeah.
Marinese
The
not.
Marinese
The
not.
Myronese not. But it's Jorah's idea.
Thanks, George.
And he. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, he does this seemingly for a good reason at 1st. He's encouraging Dany's self-determination, empowering herself to be independent and to think ahead to what Illyrio might want, and then makes this presumptuous move
Yeah.
that shows he's not listening to her, not asking to do it, not respecting her as a queen.
It's the worst.
Yeah,
I
it's real
hate
rough.
it. It's so gross. Jorah. I'm glad they didn't have that happen on the show.
He doesn't?
Nope.
Does he ever kiss her on the show?
No.
I think she just senses
She like,
that.
and he
yeah.
tells. I think he confesses his
Yes.
love.
See,
but-
it's a common complaint of people that the show whitewashes the characters, and it's a fair complaint. They're much more complex and more shades of gray in the book. And I think that Jorah is one of those characters who, in the show, it's easy to root
it's
for
easy
him.
to root for
But in the
Jorah,
book,
but
he's
the books,
like-
he's like the grossest. Like, he literally, like, he would believe in the friend zone.
Oh, for sure.
He's like he's a nice guy, you know.
You were made to be kissed,
Ugh.
often and well.
Gross.
Fuck you.
Ew.
I want to point out a couple things that George does with his writing that I really liked in this, along those lines. So Dany she wakes up naked and like covers herself with a blanket.
Yeah.
And when she first starts talking to Jorah, and Jorah's like, I don't trust these people. This is on 115. He's like, 3 things, and like, what's bothering him? She asks, and he says 3 things: Sprung, Belwaz, Arstan, Whitebeard, and Illyrio. And she says, again, Dany pulled the coverlet higher and tugged one end over her shoulder. And I love that George is using her physical movements and her actions here to kind of show her how uncomfortable she is with this situation. She's uncomfortable that he keeps bringing this up. She's uncomfortable being in this situation with Jorah, and she feels like she needs to cover herself up, where she's so confident otherwise with her body. And even later in the chapter, once he finally convinces her to sail for Slaver's Bay, she drops that to get dressed, and she's naked for a minute, and she doesn't care because she's like, yes, let's go to Slaver's Bay. This is good, when she's confident. But here, where she's kind of reserved and she's uncomfortable, she's covering herself up. And George doesn't say she's covering herself up because she's uncomfortable. He just lets the action speak.
And even
Sorry.
And even further down on that page, what really stuck out to me is she leans forward to yank Viserion's tail. Her blanket fell away from her chest as she moved. She grabbed it hastily and covered herself again.
Yeah.
Then there's dialogue. The usurper is dead, she said, but his son rules in his place. Sir Jorah lifted his gaze.
Yep.
And so his gaze was, he was looking at
Yeah,
us.
and at the end, after he kisses her, like, he's just staring at her. Like,
Yeah.
it's just all...
His eyes were on her
Lust,
breast, and he
yeah.
covered them with her hands.
I like I like what you pointed out, that it's like he specifically describes her like kind of tugging out the blanket like she's uncomfortable, but then when she decides to take action, she lets it drop and is like focused on other stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting to point out that it's in this moment where she's like, okay, we have stuff to do. She expects, or at least I think it's implied that she expects to not be sexualized.
Yeah, I agree.
Because she's a leader, you know, she's got to like drop her blanket to get stuff done. He should like respect it and not sexualize her, but like he can't not.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's a frustration that a lot of women deal with, is like being sexualized and having it kind of get in the way of like, no, I want to be like do stuff and get stuff done without like me being the focus, or like how I look being the focus.
I think that's definitely something that George is critiquing here.
Yeah, and how like a female body is always sexualized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like earlier in the chapter talking about just the sea and how much she was exhilarated by the freedom of being on the sea. It reminded her of the times when her and Viserys would be going to and fro among the free cities to, escape assassins from Robert, but that it had always given her a sense of joy, and now she's doing that to go somewhere, not to run.
Yeah. And I like the contrast of Grolio with the Iron Islands rule of thumb, because he's like, even upon the sea, queens take precedence over captains, whereas with the Iron Islands, every captain is the king of his own ship.
Yeah.
So just different cultures.
Oh, while we're back there, I don't know what happens in the later books, guys, but I feel like I've heard rumor enough that something like page 108 would be foreshadowing. In the Seven Kingdoms, there are tales of dragons who grew so huge they could pluck giant krakens from the seas.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
So I don't know what that means.
I think it's very specifically krakens in that metaphor.
Yeah.
I couldn't say why.
Man, I hope we get a real Kraken in the series.
That'd be
Kind of. I don't know. I'd be fine without it, but it'd be kind of cool if like a real fucking Kraken.
ice kraken.
Yeah, Ice Kraken lives in the wall.
Oh god.
Gressel, do you want to talk about Rhaegar?
Oh yeah, we should talk about the Rhaegar stuff.
I have
There's-
questions.
There's some cool shit here. There's a couple really interesting details to when Arston is talking about who his companions were. Jorah's like, oh, next you'll claim your squire for him. And Arston's like, no. He said, I make no such claim, being all proper. And then he lists this Rhaegar's squires, Miles Mooton and then Richard Lonmouth, which is an interesting little piece of information that may or may not prove relevant later.
Oh wait, if it is relevant, isn't the thing it's relevant to in this week's reading?
The person is relevant.
Yes,
to,
right?
But not the thing it's relevant to.
Okay.
Wait,
Where
don't are you looking?
This is on 110.
Miles.
Yeah.
Miles Moon, Richard Lonmouth.
Richard Lonmouth after him. Those were his squires.
It's deep tinfoil.
Yeah, it is pretty. It is pretty.
How do you think I know what you're talking about?
We'll talk about it later.
Oh. Okay. Oh Jesus. Yeah. That's like.
It's
that's some
like
nerd
we haven't
shit.
gotten a book in years, so we're gonna
Okay,
really dive
okay.
into it. But and then this is more explicit, important stuff. Young Lord Connington was dear to the prince as well, and his oldest friend was Arthur Dane. And then Dany gets all excited. The sword of the morning. But so those are people who were close to Rhaegar and knew him very well. John Connington will come up later in the books. That's not a major spoiler. And Arthur Dane, obviously, we learned about from Ned's POV in game. As being at the Tower of Joy.
Wait, did you mention young Lord Connington?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I've spaced out for a minute.
And then later discussing Rhaegar, like Dany has this image of Rhaegar as like this great warrior and this great knight and this leader of men. But here we learn that he wasn't always like that. The Prince of this is bottom of 111. As a young boy, the Prince of Dragonstone was bookish to a fault. So he was a nerd. Early on, had no interest in becoming a warrior until one day Prince Rhaegar found something in his scrolls that shamed him, and then changed him. Yes, that's.
Sorry.
And then he went up to Sir Willem Darry, and that's who spirited them away, right? Willem
Yes.
Darry?
Yeah.
He was their protector.
Yes. The Master of Arms then said, "I require sword and armor. It seems I must be a warrior." So. That's really interesting, building off of what we learned at the end of Clash with Dany's vision of Rhaegar in the House of the Undying, and the Prince that was promised theory, and his is the Song of Ice and Fire. So Rhaegar read something that made him believe that it was important for him to become a great warrior. So that is something that's interesting, that he was this very studied, smart, and then affected by whatever it was that he read, and that changed the course of his life and really the course of Westerosi history.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's also really important to realize that like he isn't inclined towards violence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's not like naturally a fighter.
He's not like
he-
Jamie, who's
Or-
always been.
Or Robert.
Yeah.
Yes. Very, very true.
He's like a sensitive dude
Yeah.
with his harp.
Yep. We haven't gotten that yet.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, because in the House of the Undying, he's got the
right,
harp.
he's got the harp. Yeah. Yeah, his disposition tends towards
Which
the
I think
peaceful.
is very important, and which is kind of relevant to the argument going on in the chat right now. I think a lot of people have strong feelings about Rhaegar, but I don't know if we know enough about Rhaegar to make.
I'm so curious if anyone at the time, any characters would have inquired into what the scroll was, asked him some questions about why did you want
like,
to do
what's,
this?
Probably not.
going
Everybody
on?
was probably just like, great, let's do it.
Yeah, finally.
Although-
We've no longer had Baelor the Blessed
Yeah.
come again.
We have heard the contents of the scroll
Presumably.
Well, yeah,
Presumably.
that's what I wonder. Like, how much was
in it.
in House of the Undying that was in the scroll?
Right.
And did Rhaegar think it was about him or about his child?
It seemed to be that it was about his children.
Well, then why
or
would
that's
he
what
need to be a
believed.
warrior?
Probably to impart that knowledge.
That is a little bit of a sticking point for me. Like, why would he? But I think, sure, to impart that knowledge, to set an example, to help foster that role. It's kind of hard for a bookish academic person to raise the warrior Jesus come again.
Yeah.
Sam and Gilly. Just
Yeah.
imagining that.
yeah. Sam's not
little
gonna raise
Sam
Azor
is
Ahai.
Azor Ahai. Little Sam.
We get a mention of Quaithe on 113.
I was just gonna say, Dany does like a mental
Aw.
rundown of the people who she's made enemies with.
Which, this is the beginning of part of what I think is going to get really frustrating with Dany chapters, is she just rehashes stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she mentions the warlock Pyat Pri, who had sent a Sorrow Man to avenge the Undying that she burned, and that warlocks never forget a wrong, and the sorrowful men never fail to kill. The Dothraki would be against her. she hoped that Xaro's own Daxus wasn't an enemy, but, you know, he wasn't a big fan of her when he sent her off. And then there was Quaithe of the Shadow, that strange woman in the red lacquer mask with all her cryptic counsel. Was she an enemy too, or only a dangerous friend? Danny could not say. Already, Quaithe is blown past her screen time in the show in importance and
This is why.
references.
Yeah, for how?
This is why I get nervous because I have so many thoughts about Quaithe and I want her to be important, but the way that the show just like kind of like tosses her aside makes me think, I don't know. It makes me worried she's not that important, but maybe it's like really different in the book.
It might just be really different.
I don't know.
What were you going to say, Joel?
I was gonna say that we spent a lot of time with Pyat Pri and with Xaro, and very little time with her. So the fact that she gets a call out to me is significant. I was surprised.
I think she's important.
I hope she's important.
We will talk more about her later.
Okay, is that it for Danny?
I think that's it for Danny.
As the conversation rages on in the
Oh
chat.
my goodness.
Yeah.
That is a flame. That is a flame that we don't need to fan. So let's move on to Bran.
This is Bran 1, right?
Bran.
This is
Yeah.
Bran 1.
Is it weird that I thought we already had a brand?
I
Me
thought we did
too.
I had to go
I
back
thought we
and
did
look.
too.
Why do we think that? Is this a Berenstain situation?
Maybe.
Branstein.
A long passage where Bran is Summer, which is
really long.
Do we have to
Oh, I
talk a
liked
lot
it.
about the wolf
Wait,
dream?
what, Grissom?
no.
I wanna
Well,
talk a
just
little
wa-
bit
I just
about
wanna
it.
Joel
chat-
can talk
like,
about
the chat can drop the Lyanna Rhaegar argument.
The,
like
the thing is, we don't know what happened.
yeah, you're just going in circles.
We don't know what happened.
Yeah, all right. We're talking
So-
about brand now.
Yeah.
Well, we are.
You guys can discuss whatever you want.
Sure.
We're moving on to Bran and his long ass.
The long,
wolf
which is
dream.
interesting, but like
I guess.
We can all agree that this wolf dream was long.
it was
That's
long
true.
and it was
I won't.
interesting. But like, are you gonna pull stuff out of this to talk about?
A couple of things,
Let's,
yeah.
Let's talk about
Well,
Loras.
do we want? Can we get a summary and then?
Summary?
Oh.
There's a wolf dream, and then they argue.
Oh no, I missed my chance to make a Joel joke.
Oh no! Let's go back.
Yeah.
Okay,
Joel, cut it in
anyway, I
later.
wanted to make a point about Illyrio Mopatis
Oh yeah.
and how Jorah is suspicious because Illyrio sent Arstan and Strong Veloz, so Mopatis, no problems.
Oh.
Okay.
I like that.
Were you
Continue,
high-fiving
please.
a million angels just now? All right, yeah. So okay, there's the wolf dream. He fights other wolves for a deer kill, and then he argues with
Wolves.
Jojen
Oh.
about where to go.
I think I just like that one of the first thoughts he has in this wolf dream is like his strong legs.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's what he's going to be focusing on. And I love that he comes out of this wolf dream and Jojen's like, did you do the thing I asked you to do? He's like, no, I forgot. And it just reminds me of, I don't know if you guys have ever tried lucid dreaming, but there are like ways to try to induce lucid dreaming where you're dreaming and then you have control over your dreams and you
And
can
you
do whatever you
know
want.
that you're dreaming.
Yeah, but the ways to do it is to like do checks when you're dreaming to see if you're dreaming or not. But every time I've tried to do it, it's like, oh, fuck it, I'm just dreaming. You know, it felt exactly
I've
like that.
definitely like had lucid dreams before where I'm like, oh, I know that I'm dreaming, but I don't do anything cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had some cool ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but the problem is like I don't know how to. There are people who say that they like know how to do it, and I've only it's just happened sometimes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
It's
happened to
This
me.
is great.
And then I was like, I'll jump a lot, and then I woke up. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can jump in real life.
But Bran can't.
Oh,
Yeah, this gets this. What do you have?
So-
for us?
So to me, I was more bored by the stuff after. Like, I get that.
Boring.
Well, I know, like, him not understanding the needs of his body, that, like, you gotta take care of your physical body and not just, like, eat for your wolf body. Like, that as emotional journey for him makes sense, but it's kind of boring. But the wolf dream, I thought was interesting because of the stuff where Summer thinks about the pack. And
Sure.
Summer is, on page 123, is thinking about his brothers and sisters. He remembered them by scent, which I thought was, made perfect sense. And that he could feel the presence of them far after he should have been able to. Like, it's not even by scent. It's something more than that. Because, like, he should have no reason to know that Lady is gone, but he does know that. And I thought it was so interesting that Ghost is said to have no voice. What does that mean? Why?
Oh, yeah.
What does that mean?
Ghost is mute.
Yeah,
Ghost is mute?
Yeah, he's not in the
Oh.
show.
He's not in the show.
He's
What?
silent. He doesn't
Yeah,
whimper. He doesn't
never
growl.
makes
He
a
doesn't
sound.
howl.
Really? I've never noticed that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's the explanation. The white one who has no voice. Okay, well, now I get it. And did I have anything else? Nope.
Joe was like, "There's something really interesting in this guy."
I wrote a lot about it.
There is what I did. Like, the only thing that kind of stuck out to me is that even to Summer, Ghost is other, which I thought was kind of strange. He's aware of Lady's death, which is interesting that there's this connection beyond space.
Does that mean Bran knows of Lady's death?
Oh, Bran probably knows. That's probably how he knows. That's not. Yeah. They probably whatever.
It could be, but it's a difference
Either
between
way.
knowing it and feeling like this,
Sure.
Bluetooth wolf tooth connection that's no longer there. It's like, oh, I can't feel Lady anymore.
Yeah. Bran's fighting to stay in the wolf. What good is it to be a skin changer if you can't wear the skin that you like? That's on 127. There's foreshadowing of a sort in this. He's Bran the boy and Summer the wolf. You are two then, and then Bran says 2 and 1. So there's important things to kind of note about how George is kind of teaching us how warging works. Since it's going to become a little bit, obviously Bran's going to do it more and more, and he laments the fall of Winterfell, which is really sad, and he's super into Mira. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, Mira can always cheer him up.
Yep.
It was hard to sulk with Mira.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing ever scared her or made her angry. Well, except Jojen sometimes.
Yeah.
And it would be really nice. Basically, they've holed up in this tower, and they have just about everything that they could need there. And so the conflict to me in this chapter was understanding that safety, that you could stay safe but not grow or not be able to do incredible things, versus take the risk and see what happens. Maybe you can become more than, in his mind, useless as a cripple.
Tanny.
Stay and be safe and not grow. Yeah, that is interesting. That's an
Oh, the
interesting
way she
parallel
thought
to
about
make.
Vase to Laura?
Yeah, and the way that things will happen
Things
in
will happen in
Slaver's Bay.
Slaver's Bay. He makes the right choice. I like the detail that Bran at the end of the chapter, Bran realized he was crying. Like it's that difficult for him to make this choice, and I like that George makes it that difficult for him to do this. And it's smart, I think, writing and character work to make Bran make that choice. Put the choice on him.
Yeah, and Mira's the one who's like, you can make this
It's
choice.
Bran's choice.
Because
yeah.
earlier he's resentful of the fact that Jojen's the one making all the choices. It's like, he's not even strong.
It is, he has that kind of rundown of things that he values, and intelligence is nowhere near the top of that list. I forget where that is, but that kind of stood out. He was not a prince like Bran, nor big and strong like Hodor. This is bottom of 129. Nor as good a hunter as Mira, yet somehow it was always Jojen telling him what to do. And Jojen is a small, intelligent person, and I think there's shades of Tyrion in this, of intelligence being undervalued. And previously, even with the mention of Rhaegar was a young, intelligent boy whose intelligence was undervalued in favor of martial ability. And Bran has always wanted to be a knight, and he rejected the possibility of being a maester. The Knights of the Mind. That was in the show, wasn't it? Or is that in the book?
I think
It
it's
doesn't
in the
matter.
book. It's the book.
But
Same with like Sam's intelligence.
Sam's
really
intelligence is undervalued. Yeah. So.
And there can be a kind of arrogance to his intelligence because it comes with
To
also
Jojen's?
yeah, because it comes with knowing the future and what needs to happen too.
Oh, sure. Sure.
He knows that he's right, and he knows that his abilities are limited.
That's a good point. Anything else, Bran?
People are asking if Hodor can see his own future when he's freaking out about the plan to go north.
Oh, we don't know.
know that yet.
I
in
have
the
a
books.
feeling what happens in the show will happen in the books.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think so too. That's a pretty big moment. But I do want to point out that he has an old iron sword.
Yeah, Hodor is training with a sword, which
Like
I've
a-
never seen him do in
Like
the show.
a big ass iron.
Wait, I was gonna ask if you guys.
Wait, get on. Yeah.
I was gonna ask if you guys had any idea whose sword that would be from the crypts.
It's got to be at least Tauren. Like a king.
Like,
You
I
mentioned
wonder
he's
if-
a king, right?
I was wondering if it's another Bran, like another Brandon sword.
Or another Hodor. King Hodor the second.
Yeah. Anyway, it stood out to me. It was like really descriptive for some reason.
I think it's interesting that he has an old iron dull from centuries of neglect and spotted with rust. And it's obviously going to be more heavy than his steel sword, but Hodor's like whatever. And we're going to get a mention of iron in a later chapter and its importance potentially, which I thought was interesting. So I wanted to point that out before we move on. Anything else?
I don't think we get a mention of one advantage of Bran going to someplace like White Harbor when he considers that choice of letting the realm know that he's alive at least. And I bet he's just not thinking about what effect news of his death has had on his family.
Oh.
Yeah, they really see him. If people were to learn that he was alive, they only see the negatives.
Yeah, he doesn't ever really think about what his family thinks.
Like how hard that must be on Catelyn
Yeah.
specifically.
I thought it was. I feel like Jojen's a bit of a Moses figure. Like at least from the show, he's getting his chosen people to the promised land, but cannot enter himself, and he's sort of prophetic that way. I don't know if
Oh,
there's anything.
Jojen?
Yeah,
Oh, sure, yeah. Okay.
maybe John the Baptist.
Okay.
I don't have anything for this.
I've been capitalizing this week, haven't I?
Davos 2. Kind of a short Davos chapter.
I liked this chapter a lot.
in which he arrives at Dragonstone. Chelsea described it as a Monty Python bit.
The part where he gets to the castle and he's like, "Oh, this person, they know me." Like, nope, he's dead.
That
Well,
is
how
a
about this
Monty
person?
Python bit.
Also dead. It's like the cheese shop one,
And
where
then
there's no cheese.
he finally gets in and gets taken to the dungeons by Sir Axel Florent, the worst house in Westeros.
Well, first he hangs out with Salador's son.
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
tells Salador of his plan, which
Why
for
you
me
do
is
this?
probably why you got taken to the dungeon. Also, guys, I was so happy to see Salador-san again, exclusively because Roy Dotrice's Salador-san
It's pretty good.
What is this
so
Salador's
Salador's
His-
son. It's like he sounds a little bit almost like Greedo.
Yeah.
Oh
This is
yeah,
my friend.
Oh, it's like
he-
a slimy Frenchman?
yes,
It's-
yeah.
yeah.
It's like a Monty Python French accent.
I like Salador-san a lot in
Me
this.
too.
Like, he's clearly, like, very good at what he does. And he's just immediately like, how can I benefit from this situation that's gone so terribly wrong? I'll just pirate shit. Like, and he takes a boat that belongs to Illyrio, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
mention of Illyrio with the. Oh wait, well now I need to ask another question because I interpreted the chair being at Dragonstone.
No, it's on a ship.
Oh, because they're on a ship. All
They're on a
right,
ship.
yeah, never mind. Cross that off in my.
Yeah. But Salador commandeers this boat that belongs to him with all this stuff in it. in a giant chair, and he calls Illyrio a whale with whiskers. So he knows Illyrio by reputation, which I think is interesting. Not much else really to say about that. Davos is very sick. He's got a fever and a cough. And Salvador San has genuine concern for him. He feels his chest, and he's like, "You're warm, and I can hear your heart thumping." And he's like, "You need wine and rest." Like, I really like their friend. And he's like, "Come work for me. Like, I'll set you up with a ship. Like, I'll put you back where you're best. You can go home. And you can see your wife and your like still alive sons." I really like that Salvador San has like genuine concern for Davos, and then is really mad when Davos spurns him to go try and kill Melisandre. Oh, and here's the point that I was alluding to just a minute ago. On 140, Davos says, speaking of Melisandre, "A knife in the heart, though even demons can be killed by cold iron," the singers say.
And that ties back to something from Game when Old Nan said that the others can be killed by iron.
Does she say that?
She does. Iron is one of the things that can kill them.
Yeah, iron is
Seems kind of basic.
Iron smelted though more than other metals of that time. Like there's a firing process to forging iron more so than other metals, I think. So I think that the association is with fire as well.
And
interesting.
there was very pointedly an iron sword last chapter. That
with Hodor.
Right.
Hoarders, yeah.
that
it,
Hodor took from the crypts of Winterfell.
yeah.
Yeah.
Regarding Davos being sick, he tries to have some of the really rich food that the captain offers, and it just doesn't go well because his body is not used to it yet. And the image of him, just imagining Liam Cunningham, like vomiting and pooping off the side of the ship was oddly sympathetic to me.
Yeah. Dude, because like people die that way. Like if you've been starving for a long time and you go eat food, your body just can't handle it.
Spent the rest of the day.
There were like accounts of when like the Allied soldiers found concentration camps.
Yep.
They would feed. They were told not to feed people because it would kill them.
Yep.
What do you have to do? Just like give them
very,
water?
very
little.
slowly.
Yeah, probably water at first.
Davos spent the rest of the day with one end or the other dangling over the rail.
Yeah, I know. I was picturing Liam Cunningham too. Like, so sad.
I love the way that the Salvador San scene ends. Go or stay better, but if you're going, go. He went.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
I love his tone throughout. He's clearly so happy, but he is joking with him the entire time. Like, even when he comes in, and yes, this is an excuse for me to do the voice that Roy Dotrice does. "You are still warm, sir, and I feel your heart thumpity thumping. Cannot be true. The sea that has swallowed you has spit you up again."
Does that make him think of Patchface?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, okay, speaking of, he finally goes to Dragonstone. We get the Monty Python bit.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. Jake Blackberry? Nope. Lord Chattering? Nope. Hookface Will? Dead and dead.
Not even Hookface will.
But he sees Shireen and Patchface, and Patchface says the following. He's saying, "Fool's blood, king's blood, blood on the maiden's thigh, but chains for the guest and shades for the bridegroom, I. And then Shireen almost caught him, but then he ran away again.
Patchface is so creepy.
Patchface is scary as shit.
He's so fucking creepy.
How does he know this? How?
How does he know what?
What do you think?
What do you think
he's
he's talking about here?
Dead air, dead.
I know. I don't know. I read this twice.
You know, well, okay. To be
And
fair,
I don't know.
to be fair, there's details here that are different than the version you're familiar with.
I thought chains for the guest and chains for the bridegroom could be red wedding.
Yes.
That's the only part that I could interpret.
Mm-hmm.
Fool's blood is at Dantos. I don't.
Oh,
No, that's what I said. That's why I said.
Oh, yeah, that's such a big.
That's what I
detail in
pointed
the
out is
books.
like the detail that's
Okay.
different.
Okay.
So.
King's blood, the blood in the maiden's thigh. We meet a lot of maidens.
The bedding.
Yeah, the bedding.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
So
it's red wedding.
Is red one.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
King's blood is Bronn.
Oh, the Walder son who is a fool.
Right.
Is he a son?
Yeah.
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 What's his name? Like Jingle Bell?
Jingle Bell
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. I
It's
do know
really-
that.
It's
It is.
the red
upsetting.
wedding sucks.
sucks.
In the book.
That's
Boom
gonna.
doom.
That's
Yeah.
gonna be.
But
tough.
yeah, that's crazy that he would know this.
Yeah.
It's
'cause
like
he's
when he was
scary
down there,
as
his
shit.
wires got crossed onto a different frequency, and he's just saying these things are gonna happen.
He's creepy.
He is
Yeah.
creepy.
They're
I don't want to risk getting citrus juice in my stitches, or I would eat one.
oh.
And then Davos gets captured by one of the oh, he meets Edric Storm too. He has a
Yes.
conversation with Edric
Oh.
Storm.
Yes, very important.
In the pleasant piney garden,
Yeah.
which I didn't expect to have on Dragonstone, with wild roses and a bog for cranberries.
Joel, do you know anything about Edric Storm?
I know that he's a bastard, and he's Robert's bastard.
Have we met him before in the books?
This is the first time
We've
we've
talked
heard
about
him.
him.
We have talked about
Because
it?
Yeah,
we got
'cause
him.
Courtney
Penrose
Penrose
had him.
Oh, of course.
Who even now Davos has a bunch of respect for. When he's listing Melisandre's crimes to Salladhor Saan, he's like, she killed a brave man named
Yeah.
Courtney Penrose. But yeah, he speaks, and he has a very high opinion of Robert.
Mm-hmm. It's weird because in the show, Gendry is like a combination of Gendry and Edric Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of some of what to expect with Edric. Is
Yeah,
that they
like-
just like take his story and like mush it into this other character's story.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Sir Axel captures Davos, sees him and take his dirk. He means to use it on Our Lady. I really like what I like about the way that George kind of lays out this plot point is that, like I think you said it earlier, Chelsea, like Davos shouldn't have been openly discussing wanting to kill Melisandre. That's how they know.
Mm-hmm.
Or can Melisandre see the future?
But that's what I mean, though.
Yeah.
Is that like, if a cursory read or a first read or a I don't want to say normal, but like a read where you're not like underlining shit, like where you're not like dissecting every. Like if you're just reading this book, you're like, Melisandre can see the future. Like I like that there's that reading of it. That George sets this up where there's a practical explanation. He spoke out loud of his intention to murder a high-placed person.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also we know that Melisandre has magic powers. So the other explanation of she knew this from her fires is great. I think that's one of those things that George does really well, is like lay out these multiple kind of possible explanations for things, which is part of the reason why there's so many crazy tinfoily theories. It's because there's textual evidence for a lot of crazy shit if you really want to look for it. And that, I think, speaks to his strength as a writer.
I just want to clarify Florents, kind of for myself. So Axel Florent seizes him at the end, right?
Yeah.
But Alistair Florent is the hand.
Yeah.
Is Stannis' hand.
I think that's Salisa's brother, uncle, something. He's older.
I don't really know a ton about the Florents.
They suck.
And
Suck.
okay, so why do they suck?
Because they blindly support Melisandre.
Mm-hmm.
Axel is a queensman here.
Yeah. Over.
Oh no, Axel is the queen's uncle.
Oh, Axel's the.
He had
queen's
served as Castellan of Dragonstone for a decade.
uncle. Yeah.
But Stannis supports Melisandre. Everyone likes Stannis.
But also,
Stannis breaks with Melisandre.
Yeah.
were the Florents always with Stannis?
Didn't one faction
There
come
was-
over to him from Renly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're very opportunistic,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah.
like that puts them on the same level as like the phrase of like a small house that wants to be better and is willing to kind of just latch themselves on to whoever's in positions of power. So I don't respect them.
I don't respect myself.
That's why I get confused because there's Florents that are like allied with Stannis, but then there's also Florents that are allied with the. So like, what's whatever. There's all over the place.
We get a mention in this chapter of Renly. King Renly's shade was seen as well on the battlefield, Captain Corraine says, and guys, he could really throw some shade.
Crickets.
I'm just gonna read it. King Renly's shade was seen as well, slaying left and right.
You know that's not Renly.
I'm just saying,
Slay!
Renly slays, and he
Renly
throws some
slays.
savage shade.
That he probably could do. Jamie too.
Jamie too.
I liked this chapter a lot.
This chapter wasn't as strong for me as the first Jamie chapter.
No, I just like.
Oh, see, last week when we expected you to be absent for a second, I was gonna come right in and say like, let me talk about how full of character Jamie is, because
sure.
I dug him a ton in this
Yeah.
chapter.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
he doesn't slow down any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the chapter where Jamie, Cleos, and Brienne go to an inn and talk to the man who wasn't an innkeep. And
Husband and wife.
Husband and wife.
I think that comes in later, right?
Yeah.
Those titles. But yeah, it's those characters. And what do they do? Oh, they don't stay, right?
Yeah, they leave, but they don't take the path that was advised to them.
Because they don't trust the innkeep.
Because Brienne's like,
They give
no,
them their
they were
skiff.
sending them us into a trap.
And Jamie agrees.
Oh, they give them their
Yeah.
skiff. That's
Yeah.
right. That's where it comes from.
That's where it
Sorry,
comes from.
I read Jamie 2 like 2 weeks ago in anticipation for last week, and then last night I read the last 3 chapters. So when I was reading Arya's chapter, I was like, wait, this is kind of familiar. I forgot the details, like that's where the skiff comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah. I like how Jamie's like, a crossbow's a coward's weapon.
Yeah. Does he think about his children as his children? Like, he doesn't even think about
he
Joffrey.
does. But I don't think he's aware that Joffrey, he doesn't know that Joffrey's like weapon of choice.
Oh
is a
yeah, he's
crossbow.
not an involved father.
Well, for sure, yeah.
But he
Yeah.
hasn't,
like-
he hasn't like been there
He filled
since.
it.
Because he left King's Landing long before like the bread riot where Joffrey killed people with a crossbow.
Yeah, but I think that there have been signs, I'm sure, before this. And in 2 chapters, he's thought a lot about Cersei and never his children.
No.
But I think part of that is a coping mechanism. Like, how hard would it be if he did think about his children as his children often, knowing that he could never acknowledge them as his children? Like, he has to distance himself from those things.
I agree with that.
James agrees with me, everybody. But I do like how we continue to get Jamie's like struggle with his respect of Brienne, where he waffles back and forth between calling her wench, calling her Brienne, being like, oh, she's ugly and stupid. Oh, but that's a good idea.
Begrudging respect is growing.
Yeah, and we get that really, for me, there's a really heartbreaking moment where Brienne starts to say, I was my father's only son, and Jamie like jumps on it, and like that's a really tough moment for Brienne. But I think it's also something that is ironic, given that that's how Cersei wishes things were. Like, Cersei wants to be her father's only son so badly, and so does Brienne. So it's interesting to me, this connection between the two of them. They both want to be men in different ways. And in a way, Brienne, I think, wants to be the man that Jamie also wants to be.
Yeah.
Like, in a perfect world.
Yeah, and I think you can see that happening throughout the chapter up until that moment, with this growing respect and agreement over how to do things, what is best to do. But then there's still this massive gulf. If honor is what they both prize, then Brienne is loathing him for what he did, and he's hating her judgment of him when, I think he would feel like she doesn't fully understand.
I like that Brienne wants to be a man, in that it seems like men are most capable of like becoming knights, and I think she feels like if she was a man, she could be the fullest extent of honor, and she could be like the man that she thinks men should be.
A true knight.
A true knight. And then on the flip side, there's Cersei, who would like to be a man because she sees men as capable of being the most powerful.
For personal gain.
Exactly. And I I like that contrast between like all the different ways that men can be men and all the ways that women are expected to be like one type of woman, you know? Like they're expected to be like a mother and just kind of like back up to the men in their lives.
What did you guys think of the story of Jamie's joining the Kingsguard?
All of this stuff was my favorite parts
Sure.
of the reading.
I wanted to hear from you guys, especially on this one.
What page is it on?
Blah, blah, blah. It's somewhere in this
I'm
chapter.
looking.
He talks about giving up Casterly Rock.
Oh, it's page 156.
156.
I didn't realize how young he was. I mean, duh.
15? Right?
Yeah.
When he got joined
When-
the Kingsguard?
Yeah.
Youngest ever to join the Kingsguard.
Yeah.
I thought that he had made the choice on his own. So to learn that it was Cersei's idea and that he was drunk on having a passionate night with her when he made the choice. And it was made with her saying, hey, do this. You won't be married off to anyone else. We can be together. Not, fully explaining how complicated that will be.
It reminded me of Tyrion and how he makes decisions, or his rational decision-making process is often, and as we'll see in the next chapter, just thrown out the window when it comes to lust for someone he loves. Both Jamie and Tyrion have these like, okay, we're gonna do this, and then the woman they love, who they shouldn't love according to many people, says, no, do this, has sex with them, and they're like, I'll do that.
Oh, yeah. Tyrion and Jamie are very much brothers. Very much brothers. But it's also interesting to me that Cersei was able to take advantage of Jamie that way. Like, she knows that she's playing him. You know?
Yeah. And I think part of it is like, yeah, she wants Jamie to be close to her, but I don't even think she minds as much as Jamie did that they get split up. I think it's also just to prevent anyone from marrying him.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, she couldn't have known that he would be in a position to be so close to her.
Yeah.
And
And she would be married off, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and Cersei, this is on 156. Cersei took him aside and whispered that Lord Tywin meant to marry him to Lysa Tully. So I think that's a huge part of it, timing-wise, is that Cersei finds this information out, knows that Jamie would probably eventually bow to his duty, probably, to his wife.
Sure.
Yeah, and put her aside in favor of Lysa.
I think this might be the first indication we have of the power imbalance between their relationship, because Jamie, maybe this came earlier in these readings.
We
but
did get one mention last chapter with Jamie of him thinking, oh, I shouldn't, Cersei's going to hate the way I look because we won't look the same.
Sure, yeah,
Which is a
but
very
that-
small thing.
Yeah, that's a little tiny crumb. And then this chapter, we continue to see Jamie think constantly of Cersei and pretty much all positive thoughts about her, or at least like longing, loving thoughts about her. But we see through his recollections that some of her actions seem a bit more manipulative between their relationship. It's a power imbalance, I think, that is very good to know and note, that maybe his love for her is a bit more pure than hers for him. As we've discussed before, her love for him might be more out of narcissism, of loving
For
herself or the man who she believes she would be.
I'm sure we'll discuss that more when we get to the Tyrion chapter as well. We get a little bit of Eris too, and Jamie's very conflicted feelings about the way he dealt with that situation. And I think it's interesting how he thinks about it in such a matter-of-fact way. Like, it's like, this is what happened, and like, it's just, he never thinks about it really in like a, if only, he never thinks like, I wish I wouldn't have done that. He's like, it always comes back to this thing that I did, that I definitely did, and have no real regret about. Like, he knows it was the right choice.
Yeah.
But we don't get the real reason here.
No, we just Like, he's already killed Rossart in this memory, and we don't hear why.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I'm sorry, back to the
Oh, sorry.
Jamie Cersei. No, I didn't see this until after you'd started.
Sure.
Jamie Cersei, just his thoughts about her being so constant is like when he hears about Thoros of Myr, just all thoughts lead back to Cersei. Well, he had the power to match Robert Baratheon drink for drink, and there were few enough who could say that. Jamie had once heard Thoros tell the king that he became a red priest because the robes hid the wine stain so well. Robert had laughed so hard he'd spit ale all over Cersei's silken mantle. Like, that's the thing he remembers from his memories, how it affected Cersei. Like, every thought goes back to Cersei. All of his memories are circling her.
It's interesting too. That's a device that George uses a lot, I think, to show the things that characters value. Like we talked about it with Davos, about how he thinks to a man's actions when he thinks about people like Courtney Penrose. He thinks about a brave man named Courtney Penrose when he talks about how Melisandre had him killed. Jamie, you would think someone like Jamie, who's all about like power, battle prowess, and like this great fighter, would think about how Thoros was the first through the breach at Pike, or is this like, great tourney night or whatever, but no, he was a drunk who made Robert spill wine on Cersei.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that Jamie really values, which I think that that's a great device that George uses often.
In terms of the writing, there's one interesting reference that I saw George make to Robert Frost in this chapter.
Really?
Yeah. So when they're talking about...
Where is this?
This is page 152. When they're talking about whether to stay or go, Jamie says, "We have promises to keep and long leagues before us. We ought to ride on." And that's from stopping by woods on a snowy evening.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
that's hilarious.
Yeah, and there are two paths, and they take one path. That's another.
Yeah, this whole thing is that poem. That's interesting.
It's interesting to see like an idiom from our world show up there in a way that's so specific to a piece of writing that exists in our world.
Wow, great catch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Is this the first chapter where we learn that Eris was calling for Tywin's head and like wanted Jamie to kill Tywin? So. Okay.
I think so.
So yeah, it's just getting more and more hints dropped out, like maybe this was a good thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was at least an understandable thing.
Yeah.
And also, he mentions that I wasn't even wearing the white of the Kingsguard. Like,
Nobody remembers that.
Nobody remembers it. I didn't remember
He was
it.
wearing the cloak, but not the armor.
That's right.
And the Lord Crakall enters after it happens and is asking, "Shall I proclaim a new king as well?" And it says, Jamie read the question plain. "Shall it be your father or Robert Baratheon, or do you mean to try and make a new dragon king?" So he turns down being the king. He just sits down after he's done this thing.
And I like how he never considers that he should be. He never's like, I have the opportunity to be king myself.
I don't think he would want it. Yeah.
No, he never considers that, and I think that's very important. And he does think for a moment of a new Targaryen king with Tywin as hand. But no. And then Ned comes, and he says, "You had no right to judge me either, Stark."
Yeah.
But
he's very bitter about Ned's feelings towards him, especially because, like he said before, he killed the guy who killed Ned's brother and dad, and Ned still hates him.
Well, I think it's also like, and I think I just put the pieces together on this. Ned is the origin of the Kingslayer myth. It's not Crakall or whoever else came in there afterwards.
A Westerling.
Yeah. It's Ned. Ned is you're the Kingslayer. You're this horrible person. Mm-hmm. That all comes from Ned. And Jamie's whole post-rebellion mythos is because of Ned.
Yeah, and that sucks.
If Tower of Joy happened after this, I bet Ned just started spreading this story because it was so abhorrent to his honor. And then Tower of Joy happens, and he's like, "Oh, guys, don't repeat that nickname I gave Jamie."
It's just too late.
Yeah. Interesting dream that Jamie has at the end of the chapter. Real quick, In his dreams, the dead came burning, gowned in swirling green flames. Jamie danced around them with a golden sword, but for every one, he struck down 2 more arose to take his place.
I mean,
Shit.
what's that about? Swirling green flames makes me think of wildfire.
Yeah, but he wasn't
He wasn't
at
there.
Blackwater.
He doesn't know it's
No.
happened yet.
So,
But this might not be a reference to Blackwater.
right, that's what I'm saying.
He's seen wildfire.
Yeah, but it's just interesting.
It's an interesting thing nonetheless. Yeah.
Yeah, I
mean,
thought
any
at the
connection
time.
between- Sorry, go ahead.
I thought at the time that it could be thinking about the people that he saved, the people who could have died in King's Landing,
I think it might be.
but
further down
it
the
doesn't
line.
quite fit with that.
The golden sword I'm curious about.
I think he's imagining if he hadn't killed Eris and if the city had burned in wildfire. But there's also another layer to it, making assumptions from the show,
Yeah.
Yes.
which I think is what.
Yeah.
Hold on, one more thing. Sorry.
Yeah, I got something too.
Oh, I'm just wondering. So the innkeep who wasn't an innkeep tries to send them down a certain path. Do we think that the path they're trying to send them down to would make them run into the Brotherhood?
Yeah.
Yes.
We learned that for certain.
Yeah, we learned that in the Arya chapter.
Yeah.
What? For certain?
For certain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do they
They
say?
talk about it. Yeah.
They say we tried to send
Yeah.
them.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
I appreciate his sense of humor when he refers to him multiple times as the man who wasn't an innkeep.
Yeah, I like
because
that.
the man says that. Yeah, his sense of humor just really comes out when they open the door.
funny.
Yeah, the guy has a crossbow pointed at them, and he says, "Who's this one in irons? Killed some crossbowmen. Do you have any ale?"
And then Then he's like, "You should take up the spear or the maul," and the kid's like, doesn't listen to him, and he's like, "Fine."
And this family that they run into, it just shows how family relationships have been ripped apart by the war.
The family that isn't a family.
Yeah, it's a wife and a husband. They lost a son, but then they've taken in this other kid. Just people are forming makeshift relationships in the Riverlands right now, because that's sort of
No
how
better
everything
place
is.
to be than here.
that it?
Cool.
Moving on to Tyrion 2. Kind of a Shae chapter, so we got that. He meets with Varis. They chat, and he's like, all right, I need to see Shae so I can send her away. Then he hooks up with Shae and doesn't send her away. I hate the Shae stuff. I love Tyrion. I hate the Shae stuff.
It sucks that like we come out of Clash where Tyrion is so like active
Yeah.
and successful, and then I mean I get it, like it's good. It's good in a way because it totally emasculates him and takes away the things that he was so good at. So it accents how powerless he is. So I get that, but it's frustrating because the Shae stuff sucks.
Ugh, hate Shae.
And
What's up,
Are you gonna defend Shae stuff?
No, in the past I have, and I think I realized that I was fine with defending it because it was a smaller part of these Tyrion chapters.
Right.
And it's almost the whole thing in this one.
Yep.
And it's so sad.
Yep.
It is sad.
It's real
It's
sad.
it's really sad to just watch this happen, and the descriptions of the sex, it so takes you into it.
The
And I don't wanna-
audiobook was painful. I
Yeah,
almost fast forwarded
yeah.
it because I was like, no.
You didn't want to
Is
hear
he,
about
like,
his 5
active?
pounds?
No,
and
it
yeah,
was Roy
yeah.
Dotrice like moaning
Oh.
as
My
Shae,
giant.
and I was like, no. Like, okay. Yeah,
His-
my giant of Lannister. Like, Roy Dotrice, no.
But yeah, this is.
His voice too for Shae like adds another layer of just how pitiable the situation is, because like he's using like a low class accent for her. So
Like a Cockney accent?
not quite like a Cockney, but she's like, I could be your lady, my
Yeah.
lord. And it sounds so sad.
Yes,
That is
Black
sad.
Star 29. Shae is so good at her job.
She is.
She is very good
She's
at her
fucking
job.
Simon the Singer.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like we
Absolutely.
talked
All
about.
she does is talk about him.
She's fucking everybody. Like her and Cersei have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Moon Boy for
And
all we
Moon
know.
Boy.
They're fucking people who are not Lannister brothers and not telling the Lannister brothers about it.
Yeah.
So we do get. Speaking of, we do get the suggestion that Cersei is sleeping with Osmond Kettleback, or at least threatening to. And
This is when
You know.
fucking audiobook, Varis. This is when Varys and Tyrion are catching up after Tyrion seeks him out when Varys didn't.
See, okay. Damn it. Secret Targ stuff.
What?
Varys could turn in Tyrion to Tywin with Shae. He has that chip in his hand.
Yeah.
And he could be holding it as a power play, to play when he needs to. But he doesn't. He's been pretty faithful in his support of Tyrion. We know or suspect Varys' motivations, and he supports Tyrion.
Well, I think that he knows that Tyrion is enough of a talent that he'll be back in the game eventually and a more powerful player again. So he's keeping tabs on him, making sure that he's still his friend. I think there's baseline that.
Sure.
It doesn't have to go all the way to
I'm just
Tyrion.
saying.
But
I'm saying.
it's an
I'm
interesting.
saying, as someone who doesn't like that theory, it is frustrating that there is all this evidence for it. But I don't want to get into it. Chat, don't get into it.
We get some Jamie foreshadowing.
Yep.
Tyrion talking about his nose. Perhaps I should have a new one made of gold.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
We also
interesting.
get on 162, alas, I am quite dragonless.
Yeah, I
Which
saw that.
may or may not be foreshadowing. We don't know.
Also, we get on 163 while we're here the mention that Varys has spies in the Citadel.
Yeah.
His spies are everywhere. Those
That's a
are
big
supposed to
deal.
be closed deliberations in Old Town when they're talking about how Pycelle was brought back as Archmaester, and Varys knows stuff.
Yes, Pycelle is reinstated, and so is Boris Blunt. One of those will make Cersei happy, mostly with Pycelle. The other is sure to annoy her, since Boris Blunt failed to die for Tommen. Also, Boris Blunt is not well loved at all by anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Mandon Moore was not well loved by anyone. I found it curious that Jon Arryn was the one who brought Mandon Moore to court, but he didn't really care for him.
I feel like they were just filling slots, though. Like, at that
Yeah,
point, they
sure.
were like, a lot of really good knights died in this war. You.
The night that he sees interact with Shae, that sounds painful from, like, I'm putting myself in, like, high school thinking.
Yeah.
And, like, seeing my crush do that and, like, oh, yeah, stomach and knots. And it sticks with him because later on in the chapter he thinks I'll never be as tall as that knight on the stairs.
We start to get Bronn checking out. Like, not being as, like, attentive or...
Yeah, Bronn's very different.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he was checking out in Tyrion 1, too, a little bit. But
Yeah, but, like he learns that, like, Bronn's going to Chitaya's whorehouse and, like, sleeping with Alayaya. And, like, that really irks Tyrion.
Which is dumb. But also, I was glad to see that Alayaya was the one that was tortured, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
well, I'm glad to see that
recovered.
she's alive and well.
Yeah. Back to
Why?
work.
Why is Tyrion upset at Bronn for that?
I think he
I think he wants Alayaya to be more than a whore. Because
Yeah.
she was teaching
Yeah.
herself to read, and she proved some loyalty with, like, not saying that she wasn't Tyrion's whore. So I think he just, like, is like, man, just let her learn how to read. Don't treat her like a whore.
But I think the problem, though, with that is there's a disconnect between what Tyrion wants for her, what Tyrion wants for Shae, what Tyrion wants for all whores, basically, and what Alayaya wants for herself. Like, her mom runs the whorehouse. She's been brought up that this is, like, a noble profession, so there's a disconnect there with what Tyrion wants and what she may or may not want, and in a way, Bronn's probably giving her more of what she. I mean,
Well,
she's back
it's-
to work and that's in her culture,
Sure, yeah.
and Tyrion's being really possessive and blind because of his
Yeah.
possessive feelings.
It's also that he is jealous because he never slept with her, and here
That's true.
Bronn is, and Bronn is Bronn, and he is Tyrion Lannister.
That's true. Bronn's now like this fully sized whole knight in Tyrion's
Hero of Blackwater.
hero of Blackwater. And
Yeah.
Tyrion's this little stubby monster who has a tricolor beard.
We get a. I'm sorry, Chelsea. You look like you were about to say something.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say we get a little reference of Loras' love for Renly.
That's what
we
I
gotta
was
talk about
gonna
that.
bring up.
Yeah.
And I did notice something interesting. So yeah, shit. Where's Laura?
That's 167, 168.
Thanks. Okay. So Tyrion talks to Loras, and asks like, "Why aren't you wed? I don't understand. Like, why would you join the Kingsguard so young?" And then this is one of like the best. I love this quote so much. Where is it?
Top of 168. First line.
Oh, yep, there it is. I'm having a hard time. So Loras says, "When the sun is set, no candle can replace it." And it's so sad. But I did notice this time around that, so keeping that quote in mind, the idea of like your true love not being able to be replaced, like nothing is ever gonna be as good or compare. I love when Tyrion like slips into Varys' room and the first thing he sees is a single candle lighting the gloom.
Yeah.
And
so good.
yes.
Oh,
So
Varys.
Shae,
Oh man.
Shae is the candle and Tisha was the
Tisha's
sun.
the sun.
Wow.
And Tyrion's just trying to like fill that gap, and it's real sad.
Yeah.
Do you think
for
that's
sure.
Do you think that's George or is that
I think
Varys?
that's George.
That's George.
That's
not
George.
Varys. Varys isn't like.
No.
I don't know.
I think it's just
That's
George.
That's good writing.
I caught that this time, and I was
That's
like,
so good.
"Aw."
That is one of
Wow.
the best single line analyses I think
Isn't
has
that
been in
so
the series.
sad?
Wow, because like that line,
That
yeah,
line
everyone knows
itself
that
is
line.
really beautiful.
It's amazing.
And I think Loras as a character, like he's done. I love Loras in the books, and it's a shame what they did with him in the show. And I wish they would have expanded on his feelings for Renly because it's really tragic. It's not, it's not overstated in the books. You have to read into it. But
Yeah.
But we get so much more of it after the fact. Like I remember when we were going through Game and Storm, we were really looking for evidence of Renly's sexuality from Renly, and we only got a couple little moments of that. But we're getting a lot more of it from Loras now.
Yeah.
We got it with his interaction with Sansa last time. This obviously
Killing the people who were in there and responsible for protecting Renly.
Robar Royce.
Robar.
He was the third son too, Loras.
But yeah, I think Tyrion and Loras have something in common they don't even realize.
He might have been his second son, just in case.
Then Lady Varys.
I know,
like
Why? Yeah.
Oh,
Why?
to sneak Shae out.
Oh,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he'll look like a madam or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still.
It's so funny. I'm thinking of like Tobias in Arrested Development.
Yeah, oh, we shan't be killing your mother, this shan't we?
Tyrion keeps looking for hidden doors.
Shae finds it, and it's
Yeah, she does.
It floats right up.
Yeah.
Counterweight. That was what Arya saw happen.
Yep.
In the
In the dungeons.
dungeons in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So confirm that's Varys. Or at least, yeah.
Yeah. She's definitely sleeping with Simon, which, like, why wouldn't she? She's entitled to do whatever she wants.
We're not slut shaming Shae for sleeping with Simon or maybe the Knight. It's that like she's telling Tyrion.
She's like openly like, I'm around all these other guys.
Oh no, I'm saying like she tells Tyrion that she's faithful
Yeah,
to,
right.
where she's almost definitely sleeping with Simon.
Yeah.
How is she being paid at this point? That's my question. So she's in service to Lady Tanda, to Lawless.
Lawless.
She's
Lawless,
probably
yeah.
getting above the table
Yeah,
payment for that.
sure.
Okay, but is Tyrion still paying her? That's what I
I think
wonder.
it's more in promises. Like
It's-
eventually you'll get your mansion
and
and
clothes
and
Yeah. Well, that's part of it. Then he should be putting the money out. And so yeah, she's upset that she's upset that Tyrion won't bring her to this big party that they're gonna have. Oh, to the wedding.
to the wedding.
Kind of a big party, yeah.
To a big
Joel.
party.
Yeah.
Hey, someone asked, is Oliver and Loras a thing in the books? I don't think
No,
Oliver is a
Oliver's
character
not
in the
character
books. And that was one of the things that we upset us in the show, I think, right? That
Because
Loras
he's
was
so
like,
clearly like
Yeah, I love that
Renly's
Loras
dead, that's it.
moved on so fast.
Yeah. Whereas in the books, he's
In the
like,
books, it's so much more of a
And
tragic
he
love
continues to
story.
make terrible choices based off of that pain.
Yeah.
sorry, continue, Joel.
I mean, I don't want to, because it's dumb stuff. Just like, take me to the wedding. I can't take you to the wedding. But like, let me do this.
It'll
No,
be
I
so
can't.
fun. I want it. I know.
Yeah.
Just keep me my lion and keep me safe. Oof.
Oh, also, Shae, talking about Loras.
Oh, yeah.
Shae has
Shae's
no
very problematic
sympathy.
with that.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure she's experienced some bad shit herself,
Yeah.
but
Oh.
nonetheless, Joel, am I okay on Mike? My levels are really looking really low.
Well, I
over
took
there.
you down because you were up in the red, bro.
You
I
might
can
have
take you back up.
overcompensated.
I don't know. See, you just got into orange.
Yeah, better you're low than high, I guess.
I think Shae is very, I think she's one of those people that, like, she's able to experience something and handle it a certain way and doesn't understand why other people can't deal with it the same way. Like,
Yeah.
she just doesn't have empathy.
I've faced hardships in my life and I'm fine. Why
I'm
can't
fine,
you?
I did, yeah.
You're just, raped by 50 men. What of it?
Yeah,
That's
get
literally
over
a thing
it.
she says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of oh god, I forget what, I forget if it was a politician. It was either a politician or like a men's rights activist who wrote like
What's the difference?
I know, who wrote like a fucking essay about like, oh, well, sexual assault, it's not that bad. It's like, it'd be like being force-fed chocolate cake. Everyone likes cake.
Whoa.
And it's not, I know. And that's what I thought of, is Shae's just like, it's just sex. I have sex all the time.
Damn.
I don't understand why she's so upset.
Also, that guy should talk to Bruce from Matilda.
Oh my god!
And women.
And also women.
Also, go die.
Hey,
One,
wait.
2, 3.
At the end, Tyrion sends Varis for Simon, and what's he want to do with him? Not kill him.
I don't understand.
He does want to kill him, but he doesn't want to say kill him.
Okay.
He knows what he's asking, but he knows that it's a petty thing to do.
I just don't remember how this pans out.
Kill him, he might have
I
said.
don't either. I wonder if it's just he literally doesn't want the words kill him to escape his mouth, so he has like all deniability.
Yeah, he's like, take care of it.
Well, I thought because he follows up with kill him, he might have said with fill Shae's sweet head with visions of doves and dancing bears. I think he's saying get this singer and keep him at Shae's. Don't let him like go anywhere else, because then he can blab.
Maybe. I guess we'll find out soon enough. I don't remember. I'm sure someone does.
Yeah, I don't remember what happens to him.
Arya.
Arya 2?
Yeah.
We're discussing Arya 2, the chapter in which Brotherhood. Fuck yeah.
It's a
Fuck
long
yeah.
chapter.
Joel,
Wait.
are you what?
Does the what's his name, Simon Silvertongue, doesn't he end up working for Marjorie?
Yeah.
He becomes Marjorie's singer, right?
Yeah, and they
Yes.
end up. Yeah.
He gets like
We'll get-
relocated.
we'll get into
okay, I was trying to remember. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Half measures, Tyrion. Be careful.
he's being moved to another department.
Yeah.
Arya 2, Brotherhood without banners. We finally got him, guys. I'm so excited. I fucking love the Brotherhood. Joel, how do you feel? I mean, they're in the show, but I feel
they're
like
very different in the show.
are they very different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're still jovial. They're still. I mean, we don't get Lemon
In
Cloak.
season 3, they're kind of jovial,
Well,
but
yeah.
like,
This is,
Season
and that's
6,
the equivalent.
they ruins it.
yeah,
Precious.
They ruin Lemon.
They ruin Lem.
yeah,
Who is introduced in this chapter
yeah.
as a pretty decent guy. All three of them, I think, are pretty decent guys.
As
I
decent as they can be.
As decent as they can be for a band of Robin Hood outlaws. I just love their back and forth about dropping a few shafts over the wall. But what if it's some honest man? Well, an honest man will come out and show us his face.
Yeah.
Hey, that's so. Go ahead and loose your shafts. Like they're
Their
giving enough.
banter is so great.
They're giving enough heads up to whoever's back there to like just come out so we don't have to kill you, but we will if we need to, you know. So we got Tom Seven Strings, aka
Tom of Sevens.
Tom of Sevens,
If you're nasty.
and Lem and Anguy. Now, do you remember Anguy?
No.
Anguy was in Game of Thrones. He won the archery tournament in King's Landing at the Tournament of the Hand, and Ned
Offered him a job.
Ned wanted him as part of
Right.
his guard, but Anguy turned him down. And I believe, I'm not sure if it was stated explicitly, but whether it was or not, Anguy went with Beric Dondarrion on that mission out to stop the mountain that rides.
Yeah.
That's
So-
the origin of the Brotherhood Without Banners.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh, I remember that.
So was Lem? Do we presume that Lem and Tom were also in the court that day and headed out with Beric Dondarrion?
Well-
or is it possible they just picked them up along the way?
I don't know, because there's that whole thing with like who is Lem,
Oh, that's right.
you know.
That's right.
So I don't think that they're anyone. Like they wouldn't have these names if they were named people. Lemon Cloak. That's not a house.
That's not a house.
So I'm saying is these names, all three of these people, or two of them at least.
Anguy is.
And guy's nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thomas Evans seems like
Yeah. I
nobody.
feel like they're people who have come to the cause and who have, have these names for themselves. They would
Yeah.
introduce themselves as what they.
It's
Are if
getting
they're more
into
important.
like some real nerd shit.
Yeah, we're gonna get more about this. Is
Yeah,
we're gonna get
we
more
don't
with
get the
them.
Brotherhood named here. We
don't.
No,
yeah,
no,
they're
no.
not named yet.
This is
All
just
we
the
get is
beginning.
King's Men, and if you are paying close attention, you know Anghai. You also know at the end of the chapter Harwin, so you can
Yeah.
presume that they are part of this
What a
force
great
that
moment.
went. Yeah, that's mostly what I want to focus on. All the Arya stuff. The Brotherhood was like, okay, we meet some characters. Cool,
They're so cool though.
they're fine. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, all right, sure, but we can
Right
talk,
now,
we can
they're
talk,
fine.
We can talk about it in terms of Arya. So, the way that they are acting is obviously very different than the way that that Arya acts. The way that they conduct themselves, they're very loud and bold and confident in their abilities. Arya is confident in her abilities, but in a way, but also trying to like hide and is aware of her kind of limitations to an extent. What do you think, Joel, about kind of that conflict between the kind of Robin Hoody Brotherhood members and Arya just being like pissed off little Arya?
I think they've been in greater positions of power during the war. They're not women. They haven't had the worst of it. I think they've been around people who have had the worst of it. That's the impression that I get, because them paying with IOUs, like paper dragons, paper golden dragons, I couldn't tell there whether or not they earnestly believed that them and their promises would outlast the war. How could they? Or if they are they earnest zealots, or are they cynical and hoping that they can just, like, we believe in the cause, so we're going to just give you this paper. It won't mean anything, but we've given you the paper. I can't interpret why they would do that. So it makes me think that they are very naive and haven't seen the worst. That's my impression right now.
That's fair. I think that's a very fair reading, based off of the information that you have. It does seem like they're very naive. They seem to be well fed. Arya notes their ample arms. Most of them have two of them. No, I mean their weapons.
Yes.
And they definitely seem to have some ability as well. Anguy, especially with his
Anguy's
archery.
dope with that arrow. Those arrows, man.
I liked the contrast between Jamie a few chapters ago being like, do you pick up like a sword or something besides like crossbow? And then this chapter you have an archer who's clearly really fucking effective and is more effective than someone who has a sword like Arya.
Yeah, Arya even
Arya's
knows.
like, I can't reach it in time.
But I think that the difference is a longbow versus a crossbow.
No, because Jamie also notes, I hate
He
archers.
does hate archers,
Yeah.
but I think the reason he hates archers
Is 'cause he can't.
because of what Arya says. Like,
Yeah.
by the time I got to him, he could shoot me. And then she makes special note to note how quick Anguy is to, by the time she knew that an arrow flew past her, he already had another one notched. Like, the longbow is a fast weapon, the crossbow is slow. And I think that's the big criticism that Jamie has, is like, if you he says to the guy, like, or the kid, if you shoot me with that crossbow, my cousin here will cut you down before you reload it.
Also, though, I like that Arya, it pissed me off when she was like, there were 3 she saw, only 3. Syrio could fight more than 3, and she had Hot Pie and Gendry to stand with her. So she's comparing herself to Syrio. She's basically saying, Syrio could fight 3 people, so I can, and even better, I have some backup. And it's like, Arya, come on, man, you're not that hot shit. And I like that she gets taken down a lot when Anguy shoots an arrow past her head and then reloads. She's like, oh, never mind. I thought that I knew what fast was. I did not.
Yeah.
She's thinking how she has to. She's
But
so.
no, if she keeps thinking like that, she's going to get herself killed.
No, but I mean, she is so afraid of being forced back into like being a mouse again that I think she's taking every right precaution. And if the options are limited, she's like, okay, I can fight, and then realizes that she can't. But I don't think she wants to back down. She's tired of that.
Sure, she is terrified of. She's like, no, it's happening again. They're going to take my weapons. They're going to reduce me to this powerless little girl. She doesn't want to relive Harrenhal.
Right.
Hey, Brotherhood buried old Pate. They can't be that bad.
Sure.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah, they even offering a shitty IOU is better than just
Exactly.
taking.
They have a code.
And they take her to an inn and they're feeding them.
Yeah.
Man's gotta have a code.
I really like how she notes Gendry looked almost a man grown and dangerous, which is a high compliment from Arya.
Hot Pie looked like Hot Pie.
Hot Pie looks like Hot Pie.
Oh, I feel
But
like
then-
Hot Pie gets like this hero moment. When he's-
He finds his
Yeah.
purpose.
Sure, but before that, he outs Arya's name.
Yeah.
Ari would. I mean, fuck, Hot Pie, come on.
Yeah,
So-
but they were over kneading the bread, James.
Okay.
Yeah, like this chapter just like reminded me, like in a kinder world, in a more peaceful time, Hot Pie would be valued as someone who can sing and who can really know how to bake.
Yeah, he's got a good voice.
Arya's taking it back.
He's like, wow. Oh man, I just want to like take Hot Pie and take Sam and like lift them out of these series and put them in the Shire where they belong.
What you have is valuable. Just the world is wrong
where
for
they
you.
can eat good food and be
Hot-
fat and happy.
A Hot Pie would be a very successful
He would be but he can sing and bake.
Yeah.
That's all you need to be able to do. He likes to sleep.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we get like, so, like I love their banter. Like the Brotherhood's banter is all really entertaining. These are characters who feel very, like complete in their own way, that like they don't seem, they're not like empty guardsmen like what we saw in Dragonstone. Like these are people who have lived lives.
Yeah, and the way we get to know them as fuller characters, I don't know quite. I haven't decided my opinion on them yet, but
Sure.
I expect that we're going to get more of them because of this.
Sure.
Yeah.
The way that they're introduced.
What, the Brotherhood?
These specific characters that we meet.
Oh, yeah.
I know we're going to have more of the Brotherhood, but I didn't know these people. I mean, Lem, we didn't meet in the show until 6.
And guy's in the show
Yeah.
in season 3.
Okay.
He's the archer.
Yeah.
Lem is, again, a very bastardized version of Lem is introduced
Yeah.
in
Like,
season
why
6.
even-
Who
I think
we
it
all-
was more of like we have this guy. Oh, let's put a yellow cloak on him.
I
like,
think
wink.
it was trolling book readers.
It was
That
a bit
whole
because we got
scene.
really excited when he first showed up.
Yeah.
But at least he does look exactly like Gressel, so.
Well, not anymore.
It'll come back.
And then, Thomas Evans is not in the show.
I don't think so.
He might be. There's a singer.
Uh-oh.
What?
Uh-oh.
How we
Yep,
doing?
yep.
I know BS.
That probably turned off.
Yep.
Okay, well, hold on.
You're
guys.
good.
Hold
Yeah.
on, everybody.
You can still hear
They
us.
can
You
still
can't
hear
see
us.
us. What? Do
You
you
just
think
gotta turn it back
overheated?
on. Maybe.
We're close to being done.
It's
You know
all
there's a new one?
overheated.
Did you see that a new one came out? There's
What?
a 5 now.
Would it be worth getting?
I don't know.
Hey,
We're on.
we can see
We'll
ourselves
see how
again.
long that lasts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Last time
I
this
bet
happened
the.
was,
Oh.
Yep.
Wait.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
It might
that
be,
should
that might,
give it a second.
Hold on, just give it a second. It might just go.
Yep.
Right.
Hey,
Okay.
okay.
All right. Yep. Sorry, guys.
I'm gonna go back.
Okay.
Yeah, last time this happened was Beauty and the Beast, and
Beauty and the Beast, we
we
had
were
some
unable
problems.
to,
We're so
headaches.
close to the end too.
Yeah.
I wanna get through it.
Okay, anything else to say about this Arya
Yeah,
chapter?
yeah.
Oh,
I just want to talk about the end.
Oh,
because-
when they say
sure.
you lot were supposed
Yeah,
to get
well-
them back?
No. Well, a couple of things. So,
Oh yeah, we should. Yeah.
so we get that this is the same inn, and illuminating how Brienne and Jamie were right to be suspicious of the people sending them down one path, because we know it's the same inn of the kneeling man, who was the king in the north who knelt here.
Torrent.
Torrent. And we see them even talking about, in banter that, well, we didn't pick him up going down that way. You shouldn't have given away the horses. Well, she was up that way birthing people, so birthing a midwiving. She was midwiving. So it's nice to see that there's a familiarity and a stableness to this life that they have there, because we can make something out of this rabbit. We got some ale. Arya and Hot Pie trade the carrots and the cabbages. So I liked all of that. And then the end, guys, I was in tears at the end of this.
I was really. It is affecting.
Oh,
Where?
hold on before
She's
we get
so
that.
excited.
Oh,
Courtesy of Gunner Loper, Tom and Guy in Lemon Cloak walking in the forest, laughing back and forth at what the other have to say.
Wow. Good work, Gunner.
Yeah.
That's very good. Yeah, so this feels like it was like it was an emotional culmination of the journey that she's been on, because there's this recitation of the names, all the names that she's been, and she's had to take on so many identities, far from who she is, and no one knows her as Arya Stark. Gendry knows the name, but that's not knowing what it means really and how she was. So to get Harwin, she's just pleading to Harwin of you must know me, throwing caution to the wind. And him recognizing her and calling her.
But not at first. It's
Yeah.
oh God, please.
Yeah. She just lets it all out, and then to have the release of him calling her Arya Underfoot.
Yeah.
I just felt so happy for her to find someone who knows her.
Yeah. He goes to one knee before her.
Yeah.
Arya Stark of Winterfell.
He names her Arya Stark of Winterfell, which I think is really. We talk so much about people's houses and names and where they're from, to use that full title, the Hand's Daughter, that's very powerful and invokes a lot of things.
And it also reinforces. They say they're.
Yep, you're gonna lose us.
What should we do? Should we just switch to this webcam for the last chapter?
That's gonna look real bad.
I know, but
There's only one chapter left.
there's only one chapter left.
See how weird it looks.
I don't want a low angle shot of myself.
Let's
really.
see it. What does it look like?
What does it look like?
Hold on, guys. Sorry about this.
Stay with us.
Oh, it's
It's
just
just
me
you
and
two?
James. That looks terrible.
Doesn't look terrible.
We're gonna switch back.
Well, I mean, what's our other option?
Turn the GoPro back on.
It's
I think it's I think it's a power thing. I think it's just running
an
out of
overheating
batteries.
thing. Because feel it, I bet it's hot, isn't it?
It is warm.
It is
Yeah,
warm.
it probably is an overheating thing.
I think it's overheating, and
It's
the
all
case probably
overheated.
isn't helping. Is that prequels?
Yeah, it's episode 1. It's always episode 1 for Joel. We're back, and we're back.
When in Naboo fight, he's like, dee.
Okay.
Can't get it back on. You're
but
saying it reinforces.
it reinforces the fact that the people they serve, even though they're dead, are King Robert and the Hand of the King, Ned Stark.
Ned Stark, yeah.
Because they said earlier in the chapter, we serve King Robert Baratheon, even though
Yep.
he's dead. And the end, the Hand's daughter. Doesn't matter who the actual Hand and King are. Their Hand and King are Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon. Told you.
No, all right. Well, they're saying audio only for their end works.
All right,
fine,
we'll do
so,
it. It's Catelyn 2. We'll get through it.
Yeah. Did we talk about how they were trying to send Jamie and Brienne and them to down the wrong path, like that was a trap?
Yeah.
Okay, we did talk about that. Cool.
Briefly, but yes, they were trying to send Jamie, Brienne, and Cleos Frey. Everyone always forgets about Cleos Frey. He's there too, guys. Down the path that doesn't even have. Oh, yeah, it is. Down the path to run into Anguy and them so that they can get the horses back, and I guess what? Kill them?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Here's a question.
They're not the nicest.
Here's a question that I'm going to look at in future chapters from here featuring the Brotherhood. When they talk about who's maybe in this little hutch thing that Arya and Gendry hide behind. They say, oh, maybe there's some lions there or some wolves, and it seems like they think of them equally as bad.
Yeah.
And right now I have no expectation that they would not be on one side or the other. Like, to me, if they are following Ned Stark's orders, they might
like wolves.
They might like.
But they're
the wolves.
following the king's orders.
They're following the orders to stop the ravaging of the Riverlands.
And as we've seen in previous Jamie chapters, sometimes the wolves are ravaging the Riverlands.
Right.
So.
Like, you got to think about like who was in this part of town, part of Westeros, and it was a lot of like Bolton's people, and like they've seen some shit. Like they're not the people who are serving under Rob. You know, they're not as organized or disciplined as. Anyway,
I hope it means that Harwin can help Arya, but I don't know.
yeah, everything works out great for Arya.
When they
I'm sure.
when they walk in the end, a one-eyed man is Beric. As we're gonna Archer with a head of stiff yellow hair. I forget who that is.
I don't remember
The other
either.
Archer.
I don't
Okay,
know.
We'll
all
find
right,
out.
We'll find out later.
So Catelyn 2.
Last chapter of this reading, the second Catelyn chapter, wherein Rob returns from his adventures at the Crag to River Run, and they totally admonish Edmure. This is when we find out just how bad Edmure fucked up.
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
damn
I had
it.
forgotten because
The plan.
I
forgot the plan
because
too.
when we were
Yeah.
discussing Edmure's.
Yeah, we talked about this before, and I was like, how did you guys infer all of this? Because I couldn't remember, and then they lay it out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they laid
I
it
was
out
like,
here.
okay.
Because earlier I was like, wow, Edmure's doing a really good job. I'm so proud of him. And then here it's like, no, dude, you fucked up the entire thing.
I didn't realize what the plan would have been for Tywin to come west, but I could see the implication of, well, if he's able to go to Stannis, that fucks things up for everyone.
Yes. And so Edmure fucks everything up, and then Rob reveals that
fucked
he
everything
fucked
up.
everything
Yeah.
up.
Wait, can we? Okay, I just want to like re-explain how Edmure fucked up so everyone's clear.
Sure.
Okay.
Because it gets confusing.
Yeah.
This is.
I zone out sometimes with like military shit.
So what was it? Catelyn won in this book that it happened, or was it at the end of Clash?
I think a little of both. Edmure came back in Catelyn 1, I think, because he
Yeah.
came to see her.
Yes.
She was already imprisoned.
But when was she seeing? Because it was the Fords battles,
Yeah.
right? That is the fuck up.
Right.
And was that at the end of
I think that
Clash?
was at
I
the
think it
end.
was at the
So
end of Clash.
she was watching him fight back and drive back Tywin's men as they tried to cross the river to go west. And Edmure, whose orders were to just hold River Run,
Yeah.
went out and defended the Fords and pushed them back until they turned around and headed east again.
Okay.
I mean, it is. Rob and Brynden are making a big assumption
About what?
that Tywin would come west, but they had a plan, and Edmure fucked it up. That's their impression of it.
That's
Yeah.
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 Maybe they should have
Why
told
didn't they
Edmure.
tell it? Yeah, like, hey, this
Yeah.
is why.
Lack of communication is a big problem
They could have said not just,
in the Robb Stark camp.
yeah. Because he said, do this thing. He didn't say, do only this thing.
Sure.
He just expected it to be carried out that way.
And it sounds like the Fords are pretty close to River Run. Catelyn was.
She could see
She
it
could see
kind
the
of.
battles,
Yeah.
kind of.
was weird.
So if they're that close, if they're visible, I feel like I would understand Edmure being like, okay, I'm supposed to defend River Run. They're within sight of River Run. Maybe I should go stop them.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
What?
And
That
the
they're
and
within
like
sight. Yeah. If you
It-
look at the map.
it is-
I think it's a flat
very
land.
It's very flat.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the Blackfish like explains like we planned this whole thing where we would like run them all around. Like there's a lot of assumptions in this plan.
So their plan, you spell it out.
The plan was
Because they spell it out.
This is on 199.
Mm-hmm.
You think we stayed for plunder? Rob was incredulous. Uncle, I wanted Lord Tywin to come west. Brendan says, "We were all horsed. The Lannister host was mainly foot. We planned to run Lord Tywin a merry chase up and down the coast, then slip behind him and take up a strong defensive position athwart the Gold Road at a place my scouts had found where the ground would have been greatly in our favor. If he had come to us there, he would have paid a grievous price. But if he did not attack, he would have been trapped in the west, 1,000 leagues from where he needed to be. All the while, we would have lived off his land instead of him living off ours. Lord Stannis was about to fall upon King's Landing. He might have rid us of Joffrey, the Queen, and the Imp in one red stroke. Then we would have been able to make peace." So they're assuming a lot.
Sure.
I just don't get why they didn't tell us.
I know. Why didn't they tell us?
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
It could have been that the plan developed when they were over in the West and just expected Edmure to follow the letter of the order rather than the spirit.
And it also would have been like, it would have been really hard for Edmure to let that happen. Like, let Tywin march through. Like Edmure at this point fancies himself the Lord Paramount of the Riverlands, even though he isn't technically at this point. He is in practice. He would have had to have let this army march through the Riverlands, just like let them go. And that probably would have been a difficult thing for him to do as a young, brazen lord eager to make his mark on his own people.
Yeah.
Which he does in the Battle of the Fords. People respect him.
And Tywin might have given a little bit of thought to why he's only defending River Run and letting Tywin go by.
Yeah, like this is Tywin Lannister. Yeah. They wouldn't have been able to give Tywin Lannister merry chase up and down the coast.
But even if Tywin had suspected something, it still would have been enough that he was marching that way, maybe wondering if something is up, but he wouldn't have been in the east then.
The biggest thing is the possibility of Stannis taking King's Landing. That's the biggest thing.
That would have been so good for them.
Yeah.
I love Emily Strong. Catelyn too. #oops.
Yep.
Everybody fucked up.
Yeah,
everyone made mistakes.
I think this is the hard turning point in Rob's fortune.
This is the end.
Yeah.
This is the
beginning
end.
of the end.
Like, Catelyn let Jamie go. They didn't tell Edmure what the plan was. Edmure didn't read their minds.
So what? Are we kind of falling on?
We're kind of
Edmure?
coming around to Edmure.
I feel bad.
Edmure really gets the shaft.
I mean, Edmure's not smart, but I have now understood where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
why didn't you tell me this?
Again, Tywin going through the Riverlands means a lot of small folk dying, as Javier Garcia points out.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Like, how could he let that happen to his own people?
Exactly.
If he didn't know what the plan was.
Yeah.
Basically, I think we're seeing a lot of miscommunication, mistakes that people are making that are hurting the cause, and this is also added to all of the compromises that Rob is having to make because things outside of his control are happening, like the loss of the North.
Yeah.
And
well,
you can't be doing things to yourself.
That's
when
another mistake
everything
that he
else.
made, though.
Oh, of course, that's
by
true.
sending Theon, yeah.
But he didn't think that Theon would kill Bran and Rickon, and maybe he didn't. But just what people know in this chapter is rough too, and what we know.
Lots of bad.
Can we talk about?
Westerlings?
Well, no, that's not what I was gonna say. Can we? Well, let's take it in order. Maybe let's talk about when. Can we talk about when Catelyn learns who Jane is? Because that moment I think is worth reading.
Oh.
Her thought process.
Yeah.
I really like and my
Yeah.
my lady wife.
Yeah, and so on page 94, the first thought that flew across Catelyn's mind was, no, that cannot be. You are only a child. The second was, and besides, you have pledged another. The third was, mother have mercy, Rob. What have you done?
Like, she immediately is like, we're done.
Yep.
This is over.
Yeah, and it's been building up to that point because she's been seeing these strangers in the hall, and things are just a little bit off, and she's been trying to piece everything together, and then realizes what Rob had been saying to her before about forgiving her, and that we all do things, out of love. That, oh, great job, I see what you did there.
And we get her, like, now she's suddenly on the flip side of like previous conversations they've had where Rob was thinking very strategically and Catelyn was thinking with emotion. Now she's like, how many swords come with your bride, Rob? 50, a dozen knights, and then he had thousands from the Freys, most of them Freys themselves, and so he made this decision out of honor more than love,
Yeah,
right?
that's the
'cause they
reading.
had sex.
They had sex. That's the reading I get from it. Is he is just like his dad. He's like so bound to honor that they had sex. Her like nursing him back to health, and he was so. He just felt obligated to marry her.
Catelyn asks him
Yeah.
if it was the next day, and his face is just like, yeah, yep.
Ugh.
I think Rob doesn't like the idea of potentially having a bastard child, or, you know.
Well, I think she's aware, and he even invokes Jon later in this chapter. He's aware of how Catelyn would treat a bastard. You know.
Have we discussed? Sorry, I was
Yep.
in the restroom. Have we discussed the differences
Good voice for that.
between show and book in Rob's motivation for marrying Jane Westerling slash
A little bit.
Yeah.
Talia?
A little bit.
Because in the show it's pure love.
They fall in love.
Yeah.
They
and
fall in love, and
I don't want to marry a Frey girl.
I don't want to marry a Frey girl.
I don't want you to marry a Frey girl. Make out.
But in the book here, it seems more like a Ned sense of
That's what
honor
I
and
said.
duty.
Like, it's very Ned.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh no, I've besmirched this woman's honor. I need to marry her now.
What do you like more?
Both are good. I mean, the theme in the show goes along with love being the death of duty, and that works perfectly for me. But
Okay.
here, I think it also works because it shows how everything counts and every mistake has these huge consequences for Rob.
I think they both work for me.
I think for the show where we can see Rob without having to have like a POV character there, it makes more sense for him to fall in love because we kind of understand it and we see their relationship. But for the book where we're seeing Rob through Cat's eyes, we wouldn't see them falling in love. And I think I think it makes more sense to have it be like an honor thing because I think it would be less believable if you don't get to see the relationship. I would believe it less if Rob was just like, we're in love, Mom.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think too, like from a bigger picture, like story perspective, like using Rob as more of like a storytelling device than as a character, the way a lot of the POV characters are.
Yeah.
It makes sense for his motivations to come from Jon, who's arguably the hero of the story or one of the main characters. So that his actions come from Jon and how Catelyn was treated, how Catelyn treated Jon, and his relationship with Jon, and not wanting to have that with his own maybe bastard son, is really important. And so it makes sense to tell this story in the books for his motivations to be come huge from that. I don't want my mother to treat a bastard son the way she treated Jon. I don't want to have a bastard son. My father was all about honor and yada yada. I have to do this. So.
And for why it happened, what caused them to have sex, you can just see the domino effect going all the way back to him not listening to Catelyn about Theon, because it's right when he gets the news about Winterfell and Bran and Rickon that he has this moment of weakness.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, there might be pressure about, no, probably not. Like pressure about having an heir, probably not. Whatever.
Yeah.
Bonehead move, Rob.
Yeah.
Bonehead
Also,
move.
it's like worth noting that the Westerlings were Lannister men.
Oh yeah.
So.
Spicers too.
Yeah.
yes, that's very important to note.
Yes.
And Rolf Spicer is disliked by Grey Wind.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
Can we talk about
yeah.
Grey Wind? This is so different from the show.
This will probably take us out.
I was so distraught.
For those of you who are still watching the black screen.
Guys, Rob distrusts his wolf, and Catelyn sees it. We all see it, but
Yeah.
Catelyn sees it too.
He's putting that pussy on pedestal.
Yep.
He's not one with himself. Like
Yeah.
he's opening himself up to all kinds of like danger and vulnerability if he's not listening to his wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who does Grey Wind?
Rolf
Rolf
Spicer.
Spicer, the Castellan
Oh.
of the Crag,
Of the Crag.
Okay.
which is a Westerland's house or
Castle. A small but old house.
And the Westerlands is, of course, controlled by Casterly Rock.
Yep.
You're missing some Prime Lucy action,
Yeah,
guys. Yeah, like it's almost as if you're not trusting your gut. And it's all because of the Westerlings that he sends them away. Like, oh, my mother-in-law doesn't like the wolf, and oh, he's killed too many in battle. He shouldn't be around people. And that's so different than the Robb Stark who had Grey Wind go and bite off, was it Karstark or Umber?
Umber.
Umber's
Greyjohn.
fingers,
Yeah.
yeah.
I missed that, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this Rob, and his motivation too for why just is so heartbreaking, because they talk about how, yeah, he used to believe that they were sent by the gods for protection, but then why would Bran and Rickon be allowed to die?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Keep an eye on Westerlings and Spicers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of layers.
There's a lot of layers. It's much more complicated than the show, The Red Wedding, and everything leading up to it.
Like what? Oh, man. There's.
It sucks. It's so upsetting.
What do we got next, guys?
Oh, wait, hang on. There's something in the seashell sigil that I read in, and it might be reading a little too much, but as a piece of imagery, if you're going to choose one, if you're going to have the sigil be meaningful and you have one chance to do it with the Westerlings, it reminded me of just going to the beach at Lake Michigan or Lake Erie and seeing all of these bright and shining seashells in the water, and like taking like a couple handfuls of them, putting in a bag and taking them home, and then when you get there, they're just dull and not shining anymore, and you wonder, why did you ever take a bunch of seashells home you don't have a use for?
Yeah, like why did I
Oh,
do
that's
this?
true. Like away from their home, they're nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 50 people.
And there's
great.
like a bajillion. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know
They're
what?
not
That's
unique.
great,
Yeah.
dude. Because
Yeah.
in the when Rob's down there on that beach,
He's like, this is beautiful.
Look at
is
this
the most
beautiful
this will be so
seashell.
worth cleaning off and taking home.
And when you put your ear to it, you think you hear the ocean, but it's not.
It's just the
You
ocean.
think that's what Rob does to Jane?
That's what he meant by she gave me comfort.
Yeah.
She
Need
showed me the sounds of the ocean.
sounds.
In his ear.
Wow.
And Catelyn's like, I know. You don't have to explain it to me. I know she made ocean sounds in your ear. Yes.
Hey, we're gonna get some Kevin Lannister.
Yay.
Oh, Kevin won?
Yeah. Kevin one comes much later.
All right, guys. The next chapter. Oh. Ooh.
What?
Yeah.
We're gonna get a
We
Samwell.
are gonna get a Samwell. New point of view. So that's really exciting. Damn, didn't you listen that far?
No,
Oh.
not that far.
But that is our first Samwell, right?
Are we gonna end with Arya?
We are going to end with Arya's. And
So John 2 to Arya 3.
I don't think it's Arya 3.
Oh, is it Arya 4?
That's what I'm trying to figure out right
Okay.
now.
Got to number your book.
Should have done that.
Is yours numbered? Because that could solve a lot of problems right now.
I think it's Arya 4.
Yeah, mine's not numbered either. Also, just help.
It's Arya 4.
All right. What are the page numbers?
Page numbers are
James de los the page numbers.
all
I
right.
am Salvador
202.
Sam.
202 to 310.
IB.
Yes.
310.
That will be our assignment. We get a Samwell. What's up?
No, sorry. I like the Arya stuff we're about to get to.
Cool.
It's not show stuff, which is fun.
Oh.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Go back to the chat. All right, guys.
Bloop.
So you have your assignment. This week on Thursday.
What's Thursday?
What is Thursday, guys?
I don't know.
What is Thursday?
Oh, what's Thursday,
Oh,
guys?
the Game of Thrones concert.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's Thursday!
I keep
Oh,
forgetting
wow,
this.
We bought
Thursday.
those tickets, what, in like November?
Yeah, we bought those
yeah.
so
long,
long
long
ago.
time. As soon as they went on sale.
Yes. Thursday, we will be going to the Game of Thrones concert. If you've seen ads for it on Facebook, it's got a
It
crazy
looks fucking cool.
fucking
And we have
light
really
show.
good seats, too.
Yes, we shelled out some money for this.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's worth it, and we're worth it. So we'll probably be talking a lot about that, or at least a little bit about it.
Oh
on
yeah,
next
we
week's
can
book
do like
club.
a review of it.
Yeah. There's the next week's reading, John 2 to Arya 4. We've been
Wednesday.
Wednesday will be a new Power Hour. Guys, if you have been enjoying Power Hour, make sure you tune in Wednesday for the Marjorie episode of Power Hour.
It's fun.
Is it our favorite?
It's so hard.
We
to
love all our children.
we love
equally.
We
all our
love all our
children.
children equally.
But
this
this child shines pretty bright.
It's pretty great.
That
I just love being Cersei and Marjorie.
Yeah, Cersei and Marjorie's just such a
That's
fun
the
Because
thing.
dynamic.
me and
Yeah.
Brianna
Yeah.
have so much fun
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so definitely tune in for that.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed, we've been doing a bunch of editing live streams. Me and Joel have. So those will probably continue if you just want to hang out with other Practical fans. We also have rejuvenated the Practical Folks subreddit, reddit.com/r/practicalfolks. It's a good way to discuss in further detail the stuff that we're reading here. Also, since we can't really respond to you that much in the chat while we're recording, it is a way for us to respond to specific points and discuss things specifically. So that's cool.
Saturday.
Is a Drunk Disney live stream. We'll be watching
Chicken Little.
Chicken fucking Little,
Oh,
guys.
God.
Oh, the sky. It's falling.
I've never seen that.
I saw it once in
Not
theaters.
excited.
when
I've
it
never
came
seen
out,
it, so I'm
and
excited
I
to
have
watch
not
it.
Seen it since then.
Also,
And we'll be joined by our guest, Caitlin Tanimoto. She's a very funny comedian from UCB who I've seen perform live a number of times, so that'll be really exciting. So make sure you tune in for that.
yeah,
What, Chelsea?
the end of this month we'll be at WonderCon.
Oh,
So
yes.
come say hi.
Yeah.
'Cause we'll be there. I'm hoping to go all 3 days.
Chelsea and
can-
I will go all 3 days.
Which sucks because we'll have to drive to Anaheim.
We
Oh.
might not go on Sunday.
Okay. Wait, is all 3 days Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, maybe I can leave work early on Friday. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll figure it out.
But Joel and Gressel and his lady wife will also be there at least one of the days.
At least part of, probably a couple. We're gonna try to do Friday afternoon and Saturday morning.
Friday afternoon? Is that a holiday or what? How are you going to
It's a holiday for Erica, and I'm probably gonna take a half day.
Oh.
Cesar Chavez Day.
You should check out. They just came out with the panels. If you want to look at panels.
There's
and-
gonna be lines for panels.
yeah.
I hate lines. So
Although there's
much.
some where it's like if you catch them earlier in the day, there's not lines. Because
We'll
they
play
won't
it by
fill
ear.
up.
So what does that mean, guys? What does that mean? That means that Wednesday is Power Hour. Thursday we have a concert.
It's a big week for us.
it is.
Yeah.
Next Sunday we'll do this.
Yep. Saturday is Drunk Disney live stream.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be gone
Yes.
from book club next Sunday.
Oh, son of a
Yeah,
bitch.
maybe we'll have a guest.
Yeah.
Maybe not. We'll see.
Well, I mean, the only person we know who's been keeping up is Caitlin, so maybe we'll have
We can
Caitlin,
ask
maybe
her.
Caitlin
not.
Yeah.
talks as much as I do. It's fine.
And anything else?
Uh,
If you haven't supported us on Patreon,
Yes, please plug that.
Patreon, please do that if you can. If you can afford even $3 a month, I would recommend that at least instead of $1 a month because we're gonna have a reward for the $3 a month people very
Soon.
very soon,
Soon.
and it's something that's gonna be, I think, really
People, I think
awesome.
people are gonna really.
We've been like
really like it.
trying to change up the rewards to make them
Yeah.
more worth it.
And to
Yes.
make it so that they're easier for people to get.
Yes, but we're gonna be doing that, and we really need that support because we have lots of really big plans for the channel.
Yeah.
We have a long-term strategy that we've put into place, and it involves new technology to bring you new and better shows.
Yeah.
So please consider doing that if you'd like to support us.
We make no money off of this.
Yeah, And
So everything that you,
Oh, yeah,
you
like
support,
personally.
yeah, we take zero profit
we
from this. So
pay
everything,
no bills
yeah,
with this.
everything that
channel.
you pledge to support with us just goes towards making things better. We evidently have to figure out a new camera solution.
Yeah.
So,
This GoPro
Hasn't happened
can't
in a
handle how
while,
much
but-
we use it.
Yeah.
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 Also, go watch Beauty and the Beast: Enchanted Christmas if you haven't already. That's out now. And if you're
And vote on Twitter.
follow us on Twitter, guys, and put your votes in
March
for
Madness.
your
March
favorite
Madness during
drunk
Disney.
Vote,
Disney.
yeah, you should go on Twitter right now and vote for Star Wars Holiday Special.
It feels dirty.
And
Over
vote for
Lilo
Pete's
and
Dragon.
It
Stitch.
feels dirty.
We're
that
advocating
you
for our
guys
own episode.
are
We are
advocating for
totally-
episodes.
You can advocate for your own
Free to
episodes
do
too.
We're
that.
in every we can't do that.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, tough shit.
All right. Okay, guys. I think that's enough.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll be here next week.
Yep.
And until then, I'm James.
I'm James.
And Chelsea.
I'm Joel.
And this has been a black void of book discussion.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.